back to another episode of Doing Football. Today, continuing with the Do Not Draft, we're looking at wide receivers. Kyler, he has a set of balls. He went with a big-time wide receiver that is going in the top 5 and told you not to draft him. These dummies. The last episode, we did a running back in the first that was going in the first, one that was going in the second, one that was going in the third. These two guys cop out. One's in the
but
fifth.
Who did the one in the first?
Third.
Who did the one in the first?
Well, I said my guy was probably going in the first.
Not as high as mine.
Well, still, I followed the rules that we set out for this episode.
Not my fault you wouldn't let me pick all the receivers.
I mean, that's a cop-out, too.
As we talk about our balls, though, Lawnmower 4.0.
Yeah. Oh, great job, babe.
Great transition.
Check out the Lawnmower 4.0 for Manscaped. Take care of your balls. Mine, very big, very large with this take I have today. So the Lawnmower 4.0 for Manscaped can take care of.
They can take care of any size balls.
Yeah, any size. Promo code BOX, 20% off, and free worldwide shipping. Again, promo code BOX for Manscaped. Take care of your business down there. And I'm going to take care of business on this episode, but I will go last because we're going to save the best for last. Jared, why don't you start, you little pussy?
All right, so because I couldn't take all the receivers in the first two rounds.
Say what you wanted to say.
Okay, yeah. I wanted to say all the receivers except for Diggs, Adams, and Hill in the first 2 rounds. Like, just don't draft anyone besides those 3 guys in the first 2 rounds.
So you're going to hate on Calvin Ridley, eh?
Yeah, I would not take him in the first 2 rounds. Even if it's like, there's like a bunch of guys who have an ADP that high, and I wouldn't take any of them that high.
So Ridley, Hopkins. I'm good with not taking Hopkins, but
DK Metcalf.
Go ahead, get to your guy because you didn't even want to say that.
So then who I ended up taking was Adam Thielen of the Minnesota Vikings.
Just about everybody. And look, you're watching this video. If you're on YouTube right now, and we're like the 6th video you've watched in a row of fantasy football, let us know in the comments how many people said to avoid Adam Thielen this season.
Hey, he has an ADP of 51.4, wide receiver 20. People are drafting him.
Again, you might be watching your rookie, so let's learn.
Yeah,
teach us.
We need to let people know. No matter, just because we talk about it a lot doesn't mean other people know.
Yeah. I'm a bad guy.
We don't want you to waste your 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round picks, but we also don't want you to waste your 5th.
No.
And it would be a waste to take Adam Thielen with your 5th. Now, last year, he had 14 touchdowns, which was 3rd in the league, only behind Adams and Hill. Like, a very high mark there. And yet he only had 74 receptions for 925 yards, which is an incredibly low.
Didn't even break the 1,000-yard mark. I didn't know that. I thought for sure he did.
Incredibly low number considering the touchdowns. Mm-hmm. So I decided to do some digging. I look back to since 2005, all the receivers who had at least 14 touchdowns in a season, and there was only 3 other guys who ever had less than 1,200 yards in a season. That's almost 300 more than what Thielen got.
Wait, in the same season you're saying?
Yeah, like
they got the 14
in the season they got the 14 touchdowns. Okay. Yeah, and of the 3 guys were Doug Baldwin, James Jones, and Dwayne Bowe. And besides that one season where they got that 14 plus touchdowns, they had 8, 8, and 7 touchdowns as their next career high.
God, guys. Avery, what a job come on, man. This is why we pay you. This is why I get paid the big comes in every day. Yeah. That was great.
Big facts only over
somebody's here. Somebody's gonna take these numbers and use them for themselves.
Shove it up their home.
You watching this? Yeah.
After this.
Yeah, put that to use.
That just goes to show this is a massive outlier season for Adam Thielen. In the 4 seasons prior, 6, 9, 4, and 5 touchdowns. Like, the odds of him getting back to even close to that 14 touchdown mark is so low. There's like no point in drafting him where he is right now. It makes no sense to me why he's going as high as he is. And like, sure, he might hit that 925 yards again, but if that's with 6 touchdowns, like, man,
yeah, that's what
valueless.
CeeDee Lamb basically did in his rookie season.
Yeah,
900-some yards. 6
no
touchdowns.
point taking him. Like, Justin Jefferson's taken over. Dalvin Cook's going to be the guy. Like,
sucks the Irv Smith injury though.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be that bad though. He'll be back soon.
I was hoping Irv Smith would have a big year, so that kind of sucks for me. But I thought hopefully some red zone targets for Irv Smith instead of Adam Thielen.
Yeah, for sure. And like,
Jefferson's going to get more touchdowns.
Yeah,
he's just an alpha.
Like it's just an outlier year. Like, the stats prove it. I just proved it with it.
Mic drop from Jared.
Men lie, women lie, but numbers literally never lie.
Never lie.
No. Would never. All right, Dave, let's hear it.
Okay, my do not draft wide receiver is Mike Evans of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'll tell you 2 reasons why people would want to draft him. Okay, in his 7 seasons in the NFL, he has never had less than 1,000 receiving yards. Even though last year, it took him 3 spectacular games at the end to get to 1,000 yards. And he got injured in his last game, too. He got like 45 yards and then got injured. He got 1,006 yards, so he barely made that mark. Also, he's a very durable player. He hasn't missed many games in his career. You look through his game logs or his stats for his career. He's in those games. He's playing a lot. Let me tell you why you don't want to draft him. He is an absolute roller coaster of a player to roster in fantasy football.
Yeah.
Last year, in 10 of his games, he had less than 5 receptions. And it was only his ability to catch touchdowns, getting those red zone targets, which saved his fantasy output. He's Adam Thielen. He's a better receiver than Adam Thielen. I think we can all agree with that. ADP shows that. Everyone else thinks that too. But he was just so touchdown dependent last year. It's why he had a good season. Also, he caught the 13 touchdowns, like I said, which is his 3rd time in 7 seasons that he caught double-digit touchdowns. So he has the ability to do that. It's not that crazy, but 13 was his most. Or sorry, I think 14 was his most. But
13 was his most.
Was it?
See right here.
Okay, perfect. So he's around there a couple times. But again, you bring in Antonio Brown, a full training camp with this team too. He should have a bigger role in this offense, even though they're not the same type of receiver. I think they could chew into each other's production there. That's why I don't love Mike Evans as much this year. I'd rather Chris Godwin this season. He's going as Mike Evans is going as a wide receiver 12, and I don't think he ends up as a wide receiver 1 this season.
So, quick question: do you have Chris Godwin as being the wide receiver 1 in this offense?
Yeah,
yeah,
I do.
Here's the thing, and when you mentioned not taking a wide receiver in the first 2 rounds, I think Mike Evans is a guy I would want on my team as my 2nd wide receiver because what you mentioned, like the upside of touchdowns.
Yeah.
And like someone like CeeDee Lamb is going right around there. I just see him being a safer play this season, even though we all kind of see these as 2 really high-powered offenses passing-wise. Like you mentioned, like I think Evans will have those weeks where you just want to pull your hair out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm definitely willing to draft Evans. Probably not in the 3rd round, maybe like the 311, 312 if I need a wide receiver. Because like this offense is just going to be so good. He's just going to be involved all the time no matter what. And like, sure, he might have a few down weeks, but that's to be expected with this Buccaneers offense. So like, to me, I think if you're fading Mike Evans for that reason, you have to just fade the entire Buccaneers offense, except for maybe Antonio Brown because of how late he's going. And like, I don't think you can compare his touchdowns last season with like Adam Thielen's just because Mike Evans has always been a big touchdown guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like he's probably going to be the number 1, if not number 2 to Gronk red zone threat in this offense. So.
Yeah. No, like I think we're on the same page. We're all on the same page here in that someone we would draft. I can see why a lot of people might be a little bit worried about where he's going, that there's some guys you'd probably rather take because they feel safer.
I think there's some better values a little bit later there that you can get.
So what do you think?
I'd take CeeDee Lamb 100 times out of 100 over Mike Evans this year.
Yeah, and they're literally going next to each other all the time.
Yeah.
What about Mike Evans or Julio Jones?
I'd probably go Mike Evans, I think.
Yeah, I would go Mike Evans too.
Yeah. I'm assuming both of you, Allen Robinson over Mike Evans?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
What about Amari Cooper?
So that's another one where you have 2 good receivers going next to each other. And there was that stat of if they're able to handle 2 wide receiver 1s in their system, right?
Yeah.
It's been done more times than we
Jameis
think.
Winston did it with Evans and Godwin.
Yeah. So
It would be close. Like I love Cooper's rapport with Prescott and that I think he'd get a lot of volume and he would be safer, but
I'm going to say I'd take Amari
in the
Cooper.
end zone. It'd be close. I'd probably go Evans. But very close.
It's a tough target this year around like these guys all around him too.
Yeah.
It's like it could be a hit or miss in your fantasy drafts. Like we need to make sure you're getting the right guy in this situation, right?
Yeah, the Bucs are. I've been worried about drafting a Bucs wide receiver the last few years, just because it's like you pick your guy and one of them will probably exceed expectations and the other one won't be able to meet expectations, just because it's hard to feed. They've done it with Jameis. We know how Jameis lets that thing rip. I mean, the Bucs just let it rip in general with Bruce Arians. But one of them's not going to do as well as you think, and I'd rather just go with someone I feel like they're the guy.
Do we think he gets a 1,000-yard season this year?
I think so. I think he still hits it. Like, I'd be shocked if he doesn't, just because he might be inconsistent, but he's still going to have those massive weeks, and that's going to carry
massive
him.
weeks might be massive touchdown weeks. I think he'll probably be like around that 1,000.
Yeah, I'm going to go under. I'm going to go like 920 something. Yeah.
A lot of
take the over.
touchdowns. All right, it's time for It's time for the real fantasy football advice guy to talk to you here.
The real guy.
Save the best for last. I am not drafting. Look, and I will say it. I'm not drafting DK Metcalf this year. Period. There's a value.
He's available in the 12th round. You taking him?
Yeah. Okay, yes, of course.
He's just lying on
He
camera.
never will. He never will. But it would take a significant fall for me to draft DK Metcalf this season. Let's talk about 2020. Finished as the wide receiver 7. He is now being drafted as the wide receiver 4. Okay, look, this offense was incredible the first 4 to 6 weeks of last season. DK Metcalf was incredible. It fell off. If you had him on your teams in the playoffs last year, you definitely didn't win fantasy championships.
That was me. I lost in the finals.
There you go. I think he had like 9 and 11 points in PPR the last 2 weeks. He was second in the NFL in air yards. He had 1,783 air yards, 31 deep targets. So what do we know about DK Metcalf? It is the quality of his targets are some of the best in football, in fantasy football. We're getting deep balls. We're getting stuff with high touchdown upside, but the variance is there. Like there can be a lot of different outcomes when you are putting DK Metcalf onto your starting lineup in fantasy football. He had 124 total targets last season. Now we are predicting DK Metcalf to have top 5 season as a wide receiver, top 5 finish. And we've talked about it before, but they've changed offensive coordinators. They want to run the ball a little bit more this season with Chris Carson.
Fuck the Seahawks, dude.
Pete Carroll has said it himself.
They say it every year. They want to run the ball more.
It makes me
sick. They do,
sick.
yeah. But the thing is it shows if you're simple-minded Pete Carroll and you go to you look at the previous seasons and you see how you rank when the Seahawks rank top 3 in rushing attempts per game, they made the playoffs. They won a couple playoff games. They won a Super Bowl. Like, it's just plain and simple. Like, when we run the ball the most at a high rate in the NFL, it's because we're winning football games. So that's one piece. But this is the biggest one to me. Last 10 seasons, okay? There are 50 wide receivers that finished top 5 in the last 10 seasons. Only 2 of those wide receivers were able to do that with 124 targets or less. 2 out of 50 were able to finish in the top 5. And we're going to take DK Metcalf as the wide receiver 4 off the board. He literally couldn't finish he can't finish any higher than what he's being drafted at, to me. No chance. 124 targets in last season, and they're talking about running the ball more this season, so he might not even get 124 targets. So I think we're drafting DK Metcalf at a ridiculous season, or at a ceiling this season. And listen, hot take from me, DK Metcalf will not finish as a top 12 fantasy wide receiver this season.
Wow, that is a bold take.
Yeah. I would have liked to know his numbers too. Didn't he fumble that ball in the end zone too? What if it would have made him a higher ranked wide receiver last year too?
Yeah, that's true.
I don't remember that.
He just dropped the ball before the end zone.
Line when he was running in.
So he would have had a full another
did
touchdown.
That?
Yes.
Oh wow, I didn't
Maybe
even
it
know
was
that.
I think it was a Cowboys game, possibly.
Oh yeah, you might be
I remember
right.
him
Yeah,
like the time when he caught up to Buda Baker when he intercepted
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
And that
but
was
this
great.
was-
Too bad there's no fantasy implications in that play. It was still
tackle
awesome though.
IDP leagues. Maybe
If you're in an IDP league, do not fade DK Metcalf.
Owner's box last year in the head-to-head contest. You might have got a tackle for that.
So, fellas, come on. Somebody say something that goes against what I'm saying here.
I don't know. I mean, with my philosophy in drafting, I'm not drafting DK Metcalf at that value ever. Just because, as I said, I'm not taking any wide receiver besides those top 3 in the first 2 rounds.
Metcalf is ridiculous to me.
Yeah,
He's just ridiculous.
Where's he going?
where he's
Mid-second?
Yeah, he's going mid-second. Yeah,
I'm not willing to take him there.
he's going right after Stephon Diggs.
Yeah,
Right after
but I
Diggs.
also don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities that he finishes top 5 because, like, you don't think there's any chance he takes a step up?
I mean, the offense was otherworldly in the first half and horrible in the second half.
Yeah.
If they're consistent, I think his finishes could be. If he I guess I could see him having the same output, wide receiver 7 or 8. I can't see him doing any more than that.
Like, he was still a lot more consistent than Tyler Lockett was last year.
Yep. But to me, that
That's
doesn't
Tyler
like,
Lockett. I think Tyler Lockett can have a better year than DK possibly this
because
year.
it doesn't make sense because Lockett's targets they're not deep targets. He gets a volume of targets, but for some reason he was more inconsistent than the guy who doesn't get a lot of targets, but they're really high quantity or high quality targets. So really it should be the opposite way, that Lockett's more consistent and Metcalf's more boom or bust. So I think that can adjust this season.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Like as I said, I'm not taking DK Metcalf where he is just because it's a wide receiver, but I think he's got like the big playability, and if Russ continues to throw him the ball and throw to him at a higher pace, which is easily possible, in my opinion, then like he could have a great year, I think.
Yeah, I think in your drafts, anytime after the first round, you're picking players who you hope to outperform their ADP.
Yeah.
And I don't think DK Metcalf's doing that at this spot. That's why I wouldn't be drafting him.
What I would say to this is if DK Metcalf is there in the third round, take that. But if he's there in the second round, I'm not taking him.
My thing is like if I'm taking a guy, like if I'm taking Metcalf or if I'm taking anyone, I guess with the first 5 or 6, maybe even 8 wide receivers off the board, I have to be thinking in my head, okay, there's a way that I can see this player finishing as the number 1 at the position.
Yeah, I mean it's the same thing with running backs too.
Yeah, exactly. And I just can't, like I don't envision that. Like how does DK Metcalf outperform Devontae Adams, who can score more, can have those touchdowns that DK Metcalf can have, and then has the volume and. I mean, again, nobody here is going to argue with me that they'd rather have DK Metcalf than Devontae Adams. But again,
I would have if Aaron Rodgers wasn't there.
Yeah. Oh my God. Anyways, DK Metcalf, Mike Evans, and
Adam
Thielen this season. We're going to be avoiding, again, someone here was willing to put their leg out and really have a take for you today. So hope you appreciate it. Be sure to check out the Lawnmower 4.0 from Manscaped. Use promo code BOX. You'll get 20% off and worldwide free shipping. And of course, check out our Superflex salary cap game. Use promo code Drew9 and you will get a $10 free entry. Of course, subscribe to the channel.
Smash it.
Smash the like button. And in the comments, we've been asking you guys, let us know what kind of rosters you've been drafting. It's a huge week in fantasy football. Drop your teams
Probably got your
down
draft
in the
this weekend.
We'll get you ready.
Send your teams. Give you some advice.
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.